Here's a truth most people will never admit. The more you try to be liked, the less you are respected. You smile when you want to say no. You agree when you disagree. You lower your standards to avoid conflict. And slowly, invisibly, people begin to treat you like an option. Not because you're weak, not because you're incapable, but because you train them to. There's a silent war happening in every workplace, every friend group, every relationship. A war between two forces, being liked and being respected. And most people choose wrong. Centuries ago, a man understood this better than anyone. A man whose name still triggers discomfort. A man who studied power the way surgeons study anatomy. Niccolò Machiavelli. In his infamous book, The Prince, he asked a brutal question: is it better to be loved or feared? His answer: if you cannot be both, it is safer to be feared. Not because fear is cruel, not because kindness is weak, but because affection is fragile and respect is durable. This video is not about becoming evil. It's about understanding the dark psychology of power. Because if you don't understand it, you will be ruled by those who do. But before you assume this is about manipulation or becoming cold-hearted, let me ask you something. Why do the nice people get ignored? Why does the coworker who always says yes get overloaded with work? Why does the friend who's always available get canceled on? Why does the partner who tries hardest get taken for granted? It's not random, it's psychological, and it's predictable. Here's the uncomfortable truth. Humans do not value what is easily available. If your approval is automatic, it has no weight. If your boundaries are flexible, they don't exist. If your presence is guaranteed, it loses importance. This isn't cruelty. It's behavioral economics applied to relationships. Scarcity creates value. Predictability reduces perceived power. When you prioritize being liked, you subconsciously signal, I need your approval. And the moment someone senses you need them more than they need you, the balance shifts. Respect requires tension. Likability dissolves it. That's the part nobody wants to hear. But here's where it gets darker. What if the reason you crave being liked isn't kindness? What if it's fear? Fear of rejection, fear of conflict, fear of standing alone. And what if Machiavelli wasn't teaching cruelty, but psychological self-defense? Let's break this down. Machiavelli lived in chaos, political betrayal, assassinations, shifting alliances. He observed something critical. Love depends on obligation. Fear depends on consequence. When someone loves you, they act well, as long as it suits them. When someone respects consequences, they act carefully, even when tempted. Now apply this to modern life. You're in a meeting. You disagree, but you stay silent to stay liked. What just happened? You sacrifice long-term authority for short-term comfort. Over time, people stop asking your opinion, not because you lack intelligence, but because you don't project conviction. Respect is built on three pillars. 1. Boundaries. 2. Emotional control. 3. Selective approval. Let's go deeper. If you say yes to everything, your yes becomes meaningless. Boundaries create friction. Friction creates awareness. Awareness creates respect. When you say, no, I can't do that, calmly without apology, you send a powerful signal. My time has value. Most people over-explain their no. That's where power leaks. A clean no is strong. Machiavelli understood perception. If people can trigger you, they control you. The person who stays calm during conflict appears powerful. The one who overreacts appears unstable. Emotional restraint is modern-day fear, not fear of you hurting someone, fear of misjudging you. And that uncertainty commands caution. If you compliment everyone, your praise is cheap. If you're impressed by everything, nothing is impressive. When approval is rare, it becomes currency. People work harder for it. Notice high-status individuals. They don't laugh at every joke. They don't validate every opinion. They observe, then respond deliberately. That deliberateness feels powerful. Let me wake you up. You are not disliked because you're strong. You are overlooked because you're safe. Safe to ignore, safe to interrupt, safe to burden. Being liked without respect turns you into emotional furniture, present, comfortable, replaceable. That's harsh, but necessary, because once you see it, you can change it. Let's talk neuroscience. Humans assess social hierarchies instinctively. Micro behaviors signal status. How long you hold eye contact, how slowly you speak, how comfortable you are with silence, how quickly you respond to messages. Fast responses equals eagerness. Eagerness equals lower leverage. Slow, deliberate response equals control. This isn't about playing games. It's about understanding signals. When you rush to please, you lower your perceived position. When you move with intention, you elevate it. Machiavelli is often portrayed as evil, but he was realistic. He didn't say, be cruel. He said, don't rely on affection alone. Affection fades under pressure. Respect survives pressure. Think of leaders. The ones who try to please everyone lose authority. The ones who stand firm, even when unpopular, gain stability. Popularity is emotional. Respect is structural. Important distinction. Machiavellian fear isn't screaming or threatening. It's predictable consequence. If someone crosses your boundary and nothing happens, you taught them it's allowed. If someone crosses it and you calmly withdraw access, time, or opportunity, you taught them there are rules. Respect is born there. In dating, the person more afraid of losing the other loses leverage. In friendships, the one always initiating becomes optional. At work, the one always available becomes overloaded. Power is rarely declared. It's observed and recalculated constantly. People test you unconsciously. They cancel last minute. They interrupt you. They assign extra tasks. They're not evil. They're assessing. When you tolerate everything, they adjust your value downward. When you correct behavior calmly, they adjust upward. This is social calibration. Let's calculate it. Short-term reward, smiles, approval, low conflict. Long-term cost, burnout, resentment, invisibility. And here's the twist. Resentment eventually destroys likability anyway. So you lose both. The real question isn't, should I be loved or feared? It's, do people know there are consequences to disrespecting me? That's it. You don't need cruelty. You need clarity. Here's one simple habit to unlock respect. Stop over-explaining. When you say no, stop at one sentence. When you set a boundary, don't justify it 3 times. When you disagree, state your view calmly and pause. Silence after conviction is powerful. Practice this. I'm not available for that. I disagree. That doesn't work for me. And then stop talking. Let the silence breathe. Discomfort is not danger, it's growth. Over time, something shifts. People interrupt you less. They ask before assuming. They treat your time carefully, not because you became mean, but because you stopped begging to be liked. Machiavelli's real lesson wasn't darkness. It was this. Power begins when you detach from the need for approval. Respect is not given to the most agreeable person. It is given to the most grounded. And grounding requires courage. So the next time you feel the urge to say yes just to stay liked, pause, ask yourself, am I trading long-term respect for short-term comfort? If you found this perspective powerful and you want more deep psychological breakdowns like this, make sure you subscribe to the channel because the world doesn't reward the most liked. It rewards the most respected. And now you understand why.